Ladies and gents, episode 128, the Revolution Pod. Appreciate you guys rocking with us. Your boy Javier. You see the man victorious. Victor, episode 128 on this glorious Sunday. We're recording Sunday morning. We see the price of Bitcoin right there in the background. You know, hit the people off, Victorious. How you been?
All glory, baby. All glory. Listen, man. All is well, baby. And we here on a Sunday. Thank you, everyone, for tapping in. Like, share, subscribe. You already know the drill. And yeah, fam. Glad to be here on a Sunday morning, man. Blessed. You already know it.
We're switching it up a little bit, trying to get together as much as we can to record. And, this is one of those spots here. So Sunday morning, we're thinking about how we're moving different since Bitcoin has entered our lives. Like we're moving different, how we're moving different, why you're moving different, like just in general, moving different with Bitcoin. You know what I'm saying? Let's get in, around, inside, all of that, Victorious. How are you moving different? I mean, you've really been in it since like November, like really hardcore, right? 24?
Yeah. I think that's a very fair statement. November 24, literally, probably when I look back on it, probably the highest, one of the highest points in crypto and Bitcoin and the whole entire world. Trump just got elected. Everyone knew what his agenda was going to be, and I came heavy right into it. So yeah, for time frame, for sure. From then until now, we're talking like what? We're talking 8 months, 9 months.
Yeah, what kind of
You
like
know.
what kind of mind shift you got going on? What kind of shift just on the regular in your life, Victorious? Like what it's not so I think that's another thing too. People think you're just buying like Bitcoin, like magic internet money, but like before you
Right.
get into that, like you have to have done some homework. You have to realize money's broken. You have to realize the origins of money, the Federal Reserve, Jekyll Island. Before you can
Well,
figure answer, you know what I'm saying? You got to know the problem. So, Victorious, how are you moving different, since November?
yeah. Yeah, well, honestly, it's about knowing kind of where your money, where your worth is really going to go into, right? So I think really what it came down, what I was really moving different, the fact that, over time, I've actually spent less on bullshit, right? And I've actually invested in something that I feel in my eyes has, potential that is infinite, right? So I've done the research, and in a lot of ways, right, I've shifted my mind to now allow for stuff that, am I perfect? Nah, I love buying stuff. I'm a consumer. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's one thing that should be known is that I don't really like to give my money out, or really truthfully in the past, really like to like save it in a hard way, if that makes sense, fam, because it was like, I don't know, just kind of like spend. So I don't want to get too heavy into it. Like, I don't want to get off track, but moving differently in the sense of knowing more kind of like what to do in terms of like what to invest in. And it's not even just about Bitcoin, it's about other things. So it's like moving different. Yeah, I'm not buying what I used to buy, or I'm buying less of, or way less of. And now I'm buying more of a thing that is actually bringing back value to me in the way that I know it for me. So it's the Bitcoin standard in a lot of ways.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great way to put it. It's you're really thinking it's not like if you're not spending anymore, right? But what you're spending on now is different. You know how you and that's one way you're moving different. It's like I'm still gonna spend, if I want to buy some, I might think about it twice, but like really I want to buy Bitcoin. So that's where I'm putting my extra funds. That's where, I think about like when you're talking about like no man should be able to print what another man should have to work for. Like sometimes I think like that, like, in terms of moving different fam is, we're out there, we're working every day, grinding every day. It's hard for me not to be thinking about Bitcoin in the background and thinking about how we're working for money that someone can just press the printer, dilute our money, dilute our worth. So that is always like in the back of my mind now, like, yo, you can't unsee that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I have that in my head moving different, but like, yeah,
No, no. In a lot of ways, fam, I mean, I agree with you. And I think in a lot of ways, I probably felt like this since probably the first day I started working in a lot of ways.
yes. Yep.
It's just,
Like
you,
what it is, you don't really have the words or
you,
like knowledge yet.
whoa, you don't have the words, you don't have the knowledge, you don't even have the experience really to even speak of something. But, when you fast forward 16, 20 years later, in a lot of ways, 4 or 5 cycles of Bitcoin, if we're speaking in Bitcoin terms, you know that's a lot of experience, that's a lot of heartbreak, that's a lot of great times, that's just a lot of just learning that over time just provides just a tremendous amount of values. Yeah, I hope that made sense there.
I think you're right. Like, yeah, you have to get seasoned up. You know what I'm saying? You can't come into the game and think you know it all. Like, you have to go through things, trials and tribulations. But like, one thing I think about also moving differently, Victorious, is just like getting back to the basics. You know what I'm saying? With Bitcoin, it's like, yo,
Yes.
I care about my family. You know what I'm saying? I care about I care about like, eating right. I care about fitness. I care about my friends, just like keeping my circle small. So it's almost like, yo, just getting back to basics. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. What I like, it was something that just triggered with me when you said that, fam, is that I think I've been on a health journey for probably the good part of since like 2020, to be fair. I mean, I really got myself out of a really big rut in 2020, really, really worked myself out of that. Um, but with all of that, it's um, really trying to, in a lot of ways, just find your place, with Bitcoin, truthfully, you know what I'm saying? In terms of like, what is it that it actually, what does it mean for you? What does it provide for you? When you talk about your family and you talk about providing for your family, those are all things that anyone who's into Bitcoin, these are things that most Bitcoiners agree on. And it's like, it's not like a group that's like, F life and it's like more life, fam.
And
Yeah,
that,
but it's funny how it can get twisted though in terms of just like the mindset.
Yeah, no, I will think like if you're buying or you're into Bitcoin, all that, like you're kind of like living lavish, and it's almost like, bro, like you really like a house is a house, right? It's not a rental property. You don't want to, so it's almost like, and this again, Chris Johnson talks about some of this stuff too. It's like you start looking at things differently, bro. So just in general, like getting back to health, right? Getting back to your family, getting back to your friends, like yo, like touching grass, bro. I'm out here outside, like, just being out in nature, so some of that stuff just, and maybe it's not like it's a reset almost, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's some like when you're younger, you do all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And you don't even
Yeah.
think about it. It's like
Well, I was gonna say,
as you get into the world, right? As you were talking about, you get into the world, you get, get a little crooked, get a little gnarly. It's like, yo, you need to reset, come back in. But this is if you're into Bitcoin, like a lot of Bitcoiners, I think agree with what we're saying or kind of think the same way.
yep. And what I was going to say was Bitcoin for me, it's also been a really good reminder. I want to say since I've learned since 2020, right? There have been times where I've maybe fallen off a little bit, and then it's like and it's taken me longer to get back onto things. Bitcoin has actually made me in a lot of ways realize a lot quicker how much more I need to actually deal with some of the problems that I got going on in my life, right? So it's one of those things where it's just like it makes you appreciate value, life, and things a lot more when it comes to just yeah, knowing that what we're all here trying to fight for, and that is, right, like a better life. Yeah, that is being able to have, whether it's infinite wealth or enough wealth where you can tap into and know that, right, you're not like, you know, stressing every day. We all know, right, money doesn't buy a happiness, fam. You sent the best thing to me yesterday. Yo, if you can't be happy with a coffee in the morning, you're not going to be happy with a yacht. And that shit really resonates with me.
That's real. So happiness and joy, that's something like internal. You know what I'm saying? No one else can make you happy, right? So that's a whole nother conversation. No one else should be in charge of you being happy or you being, like that's your own self truth.
Yes, you determine that. You know what I'm saying? How you go about that, that's up to you as a human and to do that the right way and to go about it knowing that it's not just you. There's other people also, right, that are affected by it. So I think it's really just, again, what I love about it is Bitcoin itself, the network, everything has made me just do a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the things going on in your life, right? And that for me has helped me move different, fam. Is going to continue to help me move different, and it's allowing people around me in some ways to notice that, yeah, they're moving different with me too, if that makes sense.
And, yo, fam, we talk about a lot of like this deep stuff and conversational stuff, but really sometimes too, it's like, yo, I'm walking into a room a little bit different. I got my head up, I got my shoulders square. You said like the little aura, like, yeah, like I know what I'm into, and I know, in our head it makes sense, and what we're thinking about makes sense. So I'm like, to me in my head, I'm like, dude, why don't you got
Yes.
why isn't everyone else on the same page almost? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like you're the the outcast, you're the oddball. Whether it's in the office, maybe even like at the I'm sure we're into it a little bit deeper, like amongst your friends. So it's like, you're moving a little bit different, but it's like I don't how do you guys not see this? You know what I'm saying? Your value is getting diluted every day. When you go to work and you work 40 hours and you make $1,000, then all of a sudden they press the money printer, and that $1,000 is now can only it still says 1,000 can only get you 800 worth of goods. So that 40 hours
Right.
worked, is now, you just lost time out of your life.
Yeah, and it's funny to me, fam, because all of this is actual real math, and it's not stuff that's even made up.
It's
Like
out in front of us.
it's
You go to the U.S. Labor Bureau of Statistics, like you can punch in. They have little things you can punch in.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
just another reason for them.
yeah, and it's just one of those things again, whether you're at a cookout, whether it's at a whatever it might be. I mean, the question, if you've got adults in a room for 2 hours, an hour, I'd be hard pressed to think that the conversation of like, where's our money going and how much, this drink just, this, I just went to Gillette. I'm looking back at my bank statement and I'm just like, it's okay. I had a great time, but it's like, brother,
You paid for it,
brother,
and
brother,
that's a
okay,
balancing too. One of the things we talk about in Bitcoin fam. It's like, we still want to live life. We still want to do things.
you have to, but you also have to know how to do that. And to know how to do that in your way, it's not just like, again, and I'll be the first to tell you, right? I buy and sell Bitcoin. I'll be the first to tell anyone. I buy it and I sell it. I use it, right? It's a use case for me in some ways, right? Again, we talked about it, fam. We're all on the same mission. I think the usage of it is all upon the person, right? So I think for me, it's like, one, Bitcoin, I can't ever imagine the time, right, in my life being without it, first off. You always get the price you buy in. These are all the things that go in my head, though, when I do use it, right? But these are the things that I need to kind of put out to the world to hear. If they are using it, yeah, there are use cases like me, right? Hav and I, right, we talk about it, but we do have two different, I mean, same usage, same goals, same ideas, same mission, but it's just, you know what I'm saying? And when we talk about moving different, that might be a way of how we move different. And I don't even want to call it separately because that's not what it's about. But,
Oh, and
and this is what I'm talking about, like tapping into the network, fam. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't always big into it. I
well,
didn't know
it's
how to, but now I know,
even even when you're big into it, even as much as we're into it, Victorious, is levels to everything. We've talked about this a million times. So some people running a Bitcoin node. Some people, they're mining. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, buying and selling, like, yeah, you can do however you want to get into the game. It's still so early, but I think eventually, yeah, you're moving different one way or the other, and then, once you're in that path of moving different, now there's even different little valleys and streams in there, and little paths you can.
amen, fam.
That's all. I think in general, fam, but there's like a positivity around it. There's this hope around it. Like, yeah, you can't help but it's almost like I always say, like, you know how to read, like you can't unlearn how to read. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, you know. So
And at the same time, too, it's like, it's a sensitive balance, too, fam, because not everybody understands it like that. And at times it can be almost like mind altering, mind bending for people and almost like, not for nothing. I'm trying to be like an outsider, and we could come across sounding like a bit fucking crazy, but it's like, no, no, but it's the truth, and I think this is where we talk about the matrix and reality and what is what, and like do your own research and figure that all out. Because for me, I don't struggle with that. Actually, I'm lying to the people. I struggle with that piece.
no,
I
no,
really do,
it's having some awareness of what the hell's going on. But I think again, if you're trying to figure out the answer, you have to know the problem. So if you a lot of people aren't into, and it's still taboo to talk about finances, still taboo to talk about money. You know what I'm saying? Still taboo to talk about like bills and personal, just financial knowledge and all that stuff. Still weird and like odd to do that. Oddly enough,
We haven't told the people yet either. This is not financial
this
advice.
is not financial advice, but it's still weird to just talk about it in general and have ideas, and like everyone's just stuck to the old system. Everyone's used to the system. So if you have that legacy money, if you have, real estate that you're getting monthly income from, if you have, some art or like an old car, like, that all makes sense. It's made money for ages. It doesn't, why are we gonna, tap into something new? So you have to understand the problem. Now, like if people who worked in the banking industry should know, like if you ever worked at Citizens Bank or you've been a loan officer or something like that, like you should know that when people go and deposit money in the bank, now you can turn around and someone invests 100. I'm pretty sure now you can take that $100 and loan out the whole 100. There's not even fractional banking anymore. Like there's not even fractional reserves anymore. You can just so it's like your 100 is now double that money, that person's going to go do the same thing. It just goes on forever.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a dirty, broken system. And I think in a lot of ways, right, Bitcoin has helped me even in a lot of ways that they say, if you don't understand the first half, you're sure as hell not going to understand the second half. And that first half is really understanding, or at least trying to get to understand finances and just all that stuff and money and your own stuff and debt. And
That's half the battle, right? That's the first start. It's like, hey, you have to, have to go down that start of the journey.
some people don't want to do that though, fam, because it's so deep. It's so deep. It's so deep. And they're like, and I get it. I would, fam, in so many ways.
It's never been taught to us. It's like a hard subject to broach. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know, fam. It's not so that in itself, and then you take the Bitcoin. So you go down that finance journey. It's already hard, and then you take the curve into Bitcoin, which is like, I guess that's why some people see it as like mission impossible. But like, I don't know. You're moving
Well,
different.
here we are, fam. It's sitting at $118,140, right?
Proof is in the pudding. We have, again, major institutional buying going on. Fidelity, BlackRock, Vanguard is the largest holder of MSTR. They hold the most shares of MSTR, which is Michael Saylor's strategy company, which it has like, I don't know, 600,000 Bitcoin. They've been, we've talked about these numerous times. This is all like common knowledge now. We don't have to get into it, but yeah, we're moving different in general, fam. In a good way, in a positive way.
Yeah, 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 and because it's important to note that. I mean, note that. I mean, people should already know if they
Not
don't,
perfect.
how we move. They
Not
know
perfect.
us, how we're moving.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not
And you can see
yeah,
I'm sure you can see our gradual, just evolution over the course of the pod.
yeah.
But
Run it back.
we're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I don't look at my grasses, I gotta do something. Believe me, not perfect. But you start moving different and iron sharpens iron. You know what I'm saying? So I hope everyone is looking, at least give it a shot, give it a chance, look into it, ask questions, ask the Grok, ask the AI fam.
Hey, listen, if it hasn't already, it's gonna be breaking through. Even people I look at it, it's like I feel like I'm tapped into enough people where they're probably obviously, whether they're sick of it or not, you're gonna hear about it. I'm sure there's people muting us. That's fine. It's all good. Sure, there's some not, but it's all good. You're hearing about it, and it's like it's that, bad. There's no such thing as bad press. It's going around everywhere. You're hearing of it. It's like that's the way I look at it, right? And again, our mission is pretty clear in terms of it's not to go out and say, go out today and buy a Bitcoin. I mean, I think it's a good idea. But what we're actually saying is to go out and actually do the research, know about it before you're that person that starts saying, well, what is Bit, before you start sounding almost foolish, maybe just do
Yeah.
maybe even do like 1% of the research that we've done so that you can at least be on even playing ground with us. So I think that's why we also don't hear from a lot of people because there's not many people that can actually rebuff what it is that's being said. But
Yeah.
again, maybe I'm wrong.
Nah, fam, that's a great point, Victorious. We've put, so much time in knowledge and research, reading books,
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If there's something that you're refuting, or you don't want, some whatever, we can talk about that. But
Yeah,
really,
and I would right, right.
and if I like to learn too, Victorious. Again, if
Yep.
you something, please, like, I'd like to learn.
We'll invite you on here. We would actually love to hear your ideas, to be fair. In a lot of ways, and fam, we hear this is all natural and organic. Hav and I haven't even talked about this, but it's like, yeah, and it's not to challenge people. I think it's really to just put it out there
To learn, let's all learn
to
together.
learn. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? We're all on this, I guess we're all on the same journey when it comes to just, right, trying to do better for our families. God forbid I'm trying to do something for the betterment of my life, and God forbid if I'm trying to talk about it.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
God bless Bitcoin.
Mm, amen. We're out here on this Sunday morning. Thank you. So let's wrap it up with that. Great spot to leave on is, again, do the knowledge. It's not too late. Reach out to Victorious, reach out to myself. I'm true to, comment. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'll do that, do all that stuff. But yeah, what's the date here, fam? July what?
Today is Sunday, July 20th, 2025, people.
Here we go. 118,000 for a Bitcoin. Yeah, go out, start DCAing. You'll start moving different once you do the knowledge, like Victorious has done. Great work, Vic. And we'll
Yes,
catch you
sir.
next time, man.
Always, always.
All right, moving different with Bitcoin. Peace.
Peace. We out.